So here we are. So we just started what is software testing. That is the introduction part we have gone through. So we need to start what is development testing. These are the basic types of testing we have: development testing and how it is being carried out. And there are many subtopics under 8.1, and also what is the meaning of test driven development. This is a very small topic, test driven development. And another types of testing is release testing. So overall development testing is a code testing. So I yesterday before I end the session, I just discussed the development testing basically deals with the individual testing of the code. That is, you write a program, maybe, and you execute it. So the testing has to be performed model wise, or a function wise, or part by part. Try to understand. So that is called a development testing using certain test cases or standard defined test cases. So even in the last class, I stressed one point: we have automated testing. So automated testing is a kind of testing where we have a few of the tools such as WinRunner or the Load Runner. So automatically the tool will test you the test cases and will give the expected output. So this output will be compared with again the return expected output. Similarly, we have release testing. Release testing is being performed by the complex team, and the whole complex product is being tested. In the release testing, the whole product is being tested before it is being released to the market, or before it is given to the customer. Similarly, we have few of the other testing cases: user testing and test automation. What is the meaning of test automation? Then we have chapter 9, software evolution. So let me today go directly to the development testing. Okay. So before development testing, we have understood, so what is the meaning of, what is the goals of a testing? So what is the meaning of verification validation? What is the model V and V process explains? So V and V process has to be explained with this diagram. Remember, V and V process has to be explained with this diagram. Once again, so V and V process has to be explained with this diagram. So we have completed verification validation. So today I'll start with what is development testing, and I will try to cover up completely the what is the meaning of development testing. It is a big topic. So comparison of inspection over testing. So how inspection is different from testing, that is being explained. So advantages of inspection over the software testing, right? So then we wind up the session with the model of the software testing processes, right? So how the test case is generated, right? Again, test the data, you will test the results, and the reports are being generated. So this is a continuous process that is being explained. In order to explain the software testing process, first you will design the test cases, test those test cases, then they prepare the test data, test that particular data, run the program with the test data. Then when you run the test program with the test data, you have test results, the compare results with the return results. So test reports are being generated. Same thing happens even in the automated testing. So stages of testing, I said release testing, user testing. So user testing consists of basically the acceptance testing, right? So coming to the development testing. So here is the topic where we have to today deal with, but it's called a development testing. See, overall, what is development testing? Development testing where the system is tested during the development. During the development, it while writing the code. While writing the code individually, the code will be tested based on certain test cases. So that is called development testing. Release testing, we do tests before it is being released as a complete product. Coming to the development testing. So basically, as you could see, it includes many activities that are carried out by the developing team. So usually the developers perform these test cases. That usually the testers of the software is usually here the programmers who have a programming knowledge, okay, who have developed this particular software. The program being written by the software engineer, he itself does this development testing. Remember, the developer, or else I would say the developer himself will test this, will perform this testing, although this is not always the case. So usually what happens traditionally, previously, the each program has to be associated with the testers, right? So who had developed the test cases, because initially itself you have a test cases to be performed, right? Even the in your hand, maybe they have given the test cases, so you need to associate it. The developer has to associate it with the testers, right? And he will get assisted with the testing process. So in case of critical systems, so what happens is separate testing group will work with the development team, okay? Separate testing team will work with the development team. In fact, frankly speaking, there are these testing teams are responsible for developing the test cases and maintaining the detailed record of the test results, okay? Overall development testing is being performed at 3 levels, okay? It is being performed at 3 levels, and we have, that is at unit, component, and system. So I'm just giving the brief. Development testing is being performed at 3 levels. What are the 3 levels at which the development testing is performed? It is by unit, it is by component, it is by system, okay? Once again, I repeat, development testing is being performed by the developers. Sometimes for a critical systems, developers have to associate with the testing teams who have created the test cases, fine. And next, the development testing will be performed at 3 levels, that is at unit, component, and system, right? What is unit? So here the individual programs or the object class, okay, are tested. So the unit testing should focus on the functionality of the object or the methods. Similarly, the component testing, individual units are integrated, that is the integration of the units to create a one of the composite component. So usually the focus of component testing is on the interface. Finally, the whole system as a whole, okay, system testing, where some of all components of a systems are integrated to form a system and is being tested. It is same as if, like, in simple words, if you want to understand, so you have written a program, so maybe line by line testing is called a unit testing. Set of lines are formed to form a component that defines one of the objective, right? So that might be tested. System as a whole, so once again, for your understanding, if I say a quadratic equation program, in quadratic equation program, maybe you have written if condition, if d is greater than 0, if d is less than 0, if the discriminant is equal to 0. So you have defined certain cases. As an unit, I would say if the discriminant is less than 0, that is one unit. Discriminant is greater than 0, it is another unit. Discriminant equal to 0, that is another unit. Based on this, I will perform unit testing. I'll combine all these units to form a component. Fine. So all these 3 units will be compared with the test cases, that is called component testing. The test cases for all the 3 cases. Then as a system as a whole, that is for invalid case and valid cases, I'll do perform the system testing, integrating all the components. So that itself, it says the development testing. So the first component here is a unit testing. So it is a part of a development testing. Unit testing is a part of a development testing first process. So unit testing, it is a process of testing the program components, that is, I said, program components such as maybe methods or objects, or classes. So let me go to the diagrammatical representation. Here individual functions or methods we are going to consider. Okay, we testing should be performed as a unit. In fact, when we are testing the object classes, we should design the test cases to provide coverage for all the features of the objects. Test all the operations. We might test all operations associated with the object. Okay, complete test coverage of the class. It might involve test all the operations associated with the object, setting and interrogating all the object attributes. We may put the objects into all possible states. That means you should be simulate all events that causes an state change. Okay, that is called exercising the objects in all the possible states. What is the meaning of exercising? Means we put all the objects into all possible states, and that and we do simulate all the events that causes the state change. For example, if you consider a weather station, okay, let us discuss about the weather station to describe what is unit testing. The weather station objects, we can see from the example that we have discussed this in the previous situation. You know what is weather station. The interface of this object is shown. Okay, the interface you can see what is the name of a class, weather station, right? What are the attributes and the operations? Attributes are identifier, second compartment, third compartment is all the operations. So it has a single attribute which is called identifier. Okay, and identifier is a constant. Is it or not? It is an attribute. The attribute name of a weather station class is a identifier, and let us go fast. So it is a constant. So it is set when the weather station is installed. Okay, therefore we need a test that checks if whether it has properly set up or not. We need to define test cases for all the methods associated with the objects, such as report weather, report status, and many things are there, power save, remote control, all of them, etc. Right? Ideally, what we need to, we should test method in isolation. In some cases, some test sequence are very mandatory. For example, to test the method that shut down the weather station instruments, we need to have executed the restart method. So if you are aware of the problem that we have come across of the weather station, that is one of the critical method that says that we need to shut down the weather station, that we have to shut down. So in that case, we need to have the majorly the executed. If you see the state diagram, would have understand, have to execute the restart method. It is mandatory to restart the method. So we have several concepts. Generalizations or inheritance usually makes an objects more complicated. We cannot simply test an operations in the class. That is, we have several operations, right? Where it is defined, and it could be assumed that it will be inherited by some other methods, and there may not be some valid subclasses that inherits the operations. So to test the states of the weather station, we use a state model. Remember what is state model? It is defines about the operations, such things, state models, as we have discussed previously in previous models, right? So if you could remember, that's transitions, state transitions that we have tested, and we have defined few of the event sequence for the force of transitions of weather stations, right? So examples of the state sequence that should be tested in the weather stations might include, right? So let us see whether it is mentioned or not. Yes, here we have mentioned shutdown, running, shutdown, right? After shutdown, it goes running state, again from running state to the shutdown state, right? So this is being defined by the state model. Again, configuring, running, testing, transmitting, running. If you have gone through the state diagram for a weather station, so you could remember these are all the transitions that are mandatory, consider as an units. Whenever possible, we should automate these unit testing because they're fixed, right? We should automate this unit testing. In fact, what happens in automated unit testing, we make use of a test automation framework, just as WinRunner, LoadRunner, to write and run your program test cases. So overall, unit testing provides test classes that could be extended to create specific test cases. So we can run all of these test cases that are implemented and report could be generated. So unit test cases could be performed using automation software, that is automated testing. So we have one of the automated testing is called JUnit, WinRunner, LoadRunner, even they are the automated tools. So an entire test suite we can often run in few seconds by using automated testing. So it is very good, or it is possible to execute all the test cases every time you make change of the program. Hence we go for automated test. So automated test has majorly the three parts. See, when do we go for automated testing? When the same repeat things have to be performed with the minor modification in the code, we go for automated testing, right? So that is what I said. We can run in very few seconds all the test cases, though it is possible with the minor change in the to the program. So automated test has majorly three parts. So we have setup part, okay, a setup part where we initialize the system with the test cases. So maybe the inputs and the expected outputs. Similarly, we have the second part of automated testing is a call part, where we call the objects or methods to be tested. The third part of automated testing, automated test we are discussing under unit testing. Okay, unit testing. So unit testing is the first part of the development testing. Those have joined late, so try to understand. We are discussing on automated testing tool. So automated testing is being done under unit testing. So when do we go for unit testing, right? So unit testing is a part of a development testing. So overall development testing is being done by the developers who write a program. Sometimes they need to associate with the testing teams, those who have created the test cases. Fine. So you could brief up here automated test components. What are the automated test components? What is assertion? So you can see assertion part is nothing but we compare the results what we got with the expected results. So you in your hand you have an expected result, and you do compare after the third, that is after the execution, you compare these results. Usually the assertion evaluates to true, the test case is successful. Assertion is simply a comparison part, right? If the expected result is same as if like the output what you got, we say that the assertion is successful. If it is false, then we say test case failed or assertion failed. Fine. So this is the first topic, that is unit testing, that comes under 8.1 under development testing. Once again, those who have joined late, so you're not, we just started development testing. As I said, the first part of the software testing is the development testing. So development testing has to be studied as a sub units, that is unit testing, component testing, system testing. So unit testing, as I said, it is a line by line testing, or else based on few of the situations. I gave the example of quadratic equation. Then I discussed what is unit testing, how does this being carried out, taking into consideration weather station. So these are all the various operations. Individual operations are being tested as a unit, taking into the consideration generalization and inheritance, individual operations. And this is a unique identifier which is a constant, and gave you the example of weather station. So shutdown is a mandatory function that is being carried out with the restart function. We could see the state diagram. Then I discussed how the state diagrams. So this shutdown, running shutdown, are all treated as an object. So this could be one test case, this could be another test case, third could be another test case, and these test cases could be performed as they are fixed, as they are fixed in the system. After running only we have collecting, after collecting only we have running, after running only we have summarizing. So this is a continuous process. This could be performed by using automation tool such as JUnit or WinRunner or LoadRunner, that will test the test cases. Even minor modification to the code is entertained, I said. So then we showed in unit test casing. So what is automated testing? Automated testing is being used to perform unit testing. Remember, that is unit wise or object wise it does. So such as JUnit, this is what he has mentioned. Similarly, we have some of the other tools such as WinRunner and LoadRunner also. So this is a complete about the what is unit testing. The next is a so under development testing we are just discussing the unit testing. How do you choose the unit test cases? That is also one of the important topic we need to discuss. Okay, before we go to the component testing. So in that we have equivalence testing. So today let us not discuss equivalence testing because in an important topic. So what is an equivalence testing? So this equivalence testing comes under how do you choose the test cases. Okay, so today as of now it is okay. So those people have not followed, just try to go through the concept because the testing part is too important for your career. So once you go for when you do a project also, the testing plays a major role. How do you perform unit wise, the component wise, and as a system as a whole? This would be a direct question that has been asked. So they may ask you what is an assertion that you should be able to do. They may ask you whether you have you tested your test case with respect to the automated tool. Have you used any automated tool? If yes, means you have to explain. Usually in your project you don't use automated test tool, right? But when the same things, for example, when the same things have to be performed continuously, for example, if you could see the state diagram here, all of you, this is a continuous process. After shutdown we have running after shutdown. So this is one module that is as a unit is continuously run. So in that case what do you do? We go for automated testing tools, right? So those who are not given the attendance can give the attendance on the chat session. So today maybe we will stop for the sake. So tomorrow, sorry, next sections we would start uh, how do you generate the unit test cases, and we'll go for a component testing. We'll switch over to the unit component testing. So just once again, those who have not given the attendance in the chat session can give. So I just started exactly at 9:15. So we'll wind up by 9:45.